G'day, welcome to vlog number 3 of my expedition paddling series. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the stove or stoves that I use on my multi-day paddling trips. I'm pretty simple when it comes to my kitchen and my nutrition on my trips, and that's probably affected the stove that I've ended up using the most on my long trips, and it works for me. I haven't had any need or seen any reason to change it. It might not suit everyone, but certainly for the trips that I've used it on, which have been 100 plus days, 3 months, 2 months, many days on the side of a river, it's come up perfect for me. This is my kitchen, just in a dry bag. That's everything in there. When I get out of my kayak or off my stand-up paddleboard, all I have to do is grab this dry bag and a food bag, and I'm ready to go. And that suits me perfect. You know, after a 12-hour day paddling, the last thing I want to do is mess about looking for stuff and having to set up some sort of stove system that's might be a little bit complex, even though it might be produce a meal that's slightly tastier at the end of the day. But let's open this up. So this is exactly what I have in here. In this dry bag, of course. What's this? A scrubber. Keep it clean, it gets a bit grotty itself. Stove, we'll have a look through that. What else? One lighter, plus a spare in another bag, and my eating utensil. One small spoon, that's all I use. No fork, no spork, no knife, anything like that, just this one small spoon. So you can see here, this is actually an MSR stove. It's the MSR reactor, and I've had this now for I think probably 5 years, and it's been on some big river trips with me. I used it for 117 days on the Missouri Mississippi descent. I used it for 71 days on the Volga, and I just used it for 50 days out now stand-up paddleboarding in Australia. And of course a lot of smaller trips in between, and I just love it. It's perfect. I've never maintained it, field maintenance or anything else, or had to fix it or clean it or anything like that, and it's worked a charm. So there's the burner on the MSR reactor. It's getting a bit worn and torn now, but still works. In this pot that I have here, I can also keep a 230 gram gas canister, and that's what I use on my trips, because I can keep that and the cooker in there. So all I have to do is take these guys out, clip that together, gas on, light it, I'm up and away. The reason that I can keep it so simple and just have this small 1.5 litre pot and the reactor stove is that, as I said, the meals that I choose or the meals that I cook are pretty basic. In the morning I'll wake up and I'll just cook some oats, some porridge with raisins or dried fruit and quite a bit of sugar, probably too much sugar, and then black instant cheap pretty disgusting coffee with also a lot of sugar, and that's the cooking done in the morning. You know, a couple of minutes, you know, at most is what I'm using the stove for in the mornings. During the day I'm just eating snacks, chocolate bars, muesli bars, that sort of thing, and then it's at night again that I'll haul my stove out, and that will just be pasta, almost exclusively pasta and tinned fish with a little bit of soup mix or seasoning, Tabasco sauce thrown on top. And it just means that I'm not cooking very much at all, but the food that I'm cooking, I think, for me anyway, works in a nutritional sense, in that it fuels me for the day and then also replenishes me at night time. And for that reason, the reactor for me has just been perfect, and I've had no reason to change it. I think the biggest drawback that people might see with the reactor is that adjusting from low flame or low heat to high flame or high heat is pretty difficult. With the reactor it's either on or it's going full bore, more or less, you know. So I think if people do have a problem with it, that's it. But as I said, my, I guess, motto or the way that I approach my long distance paddles is by keeping it simple. And you know, I've been lucky enough on my big paddles that I have never been too far, you know, a week or more away from stopping in a village or a town, and it's at those times that I can resupply with bread, salami, cheese, whatever, maybe a burger, all these things that I might be missing after having endless nights of fish and pasta. So it's worked really well for me. After so much usage, it doesn't light as well as it used to. Sometimes instead of just lighting up the heating element here, I get some flames still around the edge, or it won't light. So maybe it is getting on. It's had a lot of sand, a lot of water in there, and as I said, I've never cleaned it or anything. What I have got a hold of just recently is the brew kit from Kit, which I'm really looking forward to using. Very similar sort of setup, so cooker, pot, bit like a jet ball. It's the same sort of family of things. I'm looking forward to using this mostly on some shorter trips. The main reason being is obviously with the MSR reactor, I can put the cooker and 230 gram gas canister in there. With the design of the brew kit, I can't do that. It would have to be a smaller canister. And the reason I like these 230 gram canisters is that I can make them last and last. I think the record I've had is probably 15 or 16 days of one canister. I carry generally 3 canisters at a time, so that gives me around 45 days of fuel that I'm carrying. And that's another perceived drawback that people might have of a gas canister stove, is that if you can't get these canisters, if you're in a certain country or wilderness area, you can't. But 45 days of fuel that you can carry is pretty good. You know, if you're using a liquid fuel stove, which I also have, of course, I'm not sure. You're going to carry 45 days of fuel? Maybe, but for my purposes, the reactor has been perfect, and that's why going ahead and using the brew kit on some of my shorter trips, I think is going to be pretty fun. So that's what I use on my trips. Let me know what sort of stoves you guys like for multi-day paddling journeys. I'll link to some of the products that I mentioned here, the reactor, the brew kit as well, and you can check those out. Cheers.